Shalom, everyone. I'm Uncle Moshe. Next comes Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We're here at the Holiday Inn in Skokie, where the Chicago Rabbinical Council is holding their Kashruth Symposium 2000, put together by Rabbi Dovid Jenkins, their Kashruth administrator. We have representatives from the Kof-K, from the K, from the OU, from the cRc, all these supervising agencies that promote Kashrus and guarantee it in the United States and around the world. Please join us, because it'll be very interesting, and stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
And without any further ado, because I know we started late, we're going to ask for each of them to give us a few minutes on a topic that they have decided upon. And we'll start off with Rabbi Levi Yitzchok Garel. Talk about Rabbi Jenkins later.
Good evening. Thank you, Eliezer. When I walked into the hall, someone asked me if I would speak in Italian tonight. I'd rather speak in Italian. It's easier, that's my mama lotion. But as we say in Italian, quando a Roma fai come I Romani, when in Rome do like the Romans, in Chicago speak in English. On the brochure it says that Rabbi Levi will be speaking. His mother went through a heart operation this week, but Hashem, everything is fine, but he is not traveling anywhere, even though he likes to come to Chicago. So he sent me. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Rabbi Jenkins and the organizers for giving me another chance to come to Chicago. My roots are really in Chicago. My Zaidi, Rabbi Posner, who later moved to Pittsburgh, was the Shamish in B'nai Reuben Shul 50 years ago. Then, when the Friedrich Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, came to Chicago in 1942, he told my grandfather that he should move from Chicago to... Actually, my Zaidi went into the previous Rebbe for Auerbach, who was going to go into Shuttas with somebody in a hardware store. And the Friedrich Rebbe, when he heard that, he said, Shalom, do for in Pittsburgh and open a yeshiva. Go to Pittsburgh and open up a yeshiva. My Zaidi came back to B'nai Reuben Shul. I don't know who the president was at that time. And he told him that he's resigning. So he asked him, why are you resigning? He says, because I'm going to Pittsburgh to open up a yeshiva. And the president told him, then Dovid wachsen grows, but in Pittsburgh sein a yeshiva. When grass will grow on my palm, that's when there's going to be a yeshiva in Pittsburgh. And Baruch Hashem, that year after Tisha B'Av, there was a yeshiva in Pittsburgh, and it's one of the nicest yeshivas in the world. My mother was born in Chicago, so my roots are definitely here. There is a story with Reb Chaim Brisker, one of the greatest scholars in the previous century, that one time his son became a Kosher. A couple of days later, Reb Chaim came to the Beis Medrash, to the study hall, and he heard a conversation his son with some of his Chaverim, and his son was boasting about the fact that he got a nadan, he got a dowry of 3,000 ruble. A lot of money those days. Reb Chaim didn't like that. He went over to the group of boys, young light, and he told his son in front of everybody, do you realize that the reason why you got a nadan of 3,000 ruble is because you are Reb Chaim's son? Obviously inherited seichel from his father too. So he answered back with derech eretz. He says, Tam, are you trying to tell me that you're worth only 3,000 ruble? So Reb Chaim answered back, no, my son, I am worth way more than 3,000 ruble. The problem is that in this transaction you're also involved, so my value went down to 3,000. Sometimes when we look at the whole picture, we forget who is the major player. A lot of credit has gone to the kashrus agencies, to the Rabbonim HaMakshirim, for the fact that today you walk into the supermarket and half or three-quarters of the aisle has kosher symbols. And much credit was given to the kashrus agencies. I think that the major player in why kashrus exploded is not mentioned. When I grew up as a young child in Italy, if I wanted milk, Monday morning, we went to the farm. I actually learned how to milk a cow. When I wanted bread, we would go to the bakery 6 o'clock in the morning with our own pans. There was no such thing as kosher baked goods. My mother made all the cakes. My mother made challah. She made everything at home. Gefilte fish. I used to go to the fish market with the knives that my mother used to give me. We used to come home. We used to grind it. There was no electric grinder those days yet. We used to take old challah and have it for crumbs, and this is how we make gefilte fish. When I came to New York the first time when I was 7.5, and I saw gefilte fish in a jar, and I saw challah in a bakery, I thought I'm in Hansel and Gretel. However, as time went on, Baruch Hashem, today we even have a pizza shop, we have a bakery, we have two grocery stores. And the question is, what made this explosion of kosher? And the answer is the consumer. The consumer does not realize how strong their words are. However, there is nothing like an educated consumer. At the OK, all the rabbis that work in the office, 60-70% of their time is used on traveling. We go to plants, companies. The other 30-40% is used in the office. We sit behind the desk, paperwork, answering questions. In this last 7 years that I'm in the OK, I gathered the 2-3 major questions that consumers have, and I think it would be proper to address it tonight because it'll show where the consumer comes into the picture. A classic question that a consumer has when he goes down the aisle of the supermarket is, wow, I found this new product. It was never kosher till now, and all of a sudden it's kosher. And I knew that all these years it couldn't be kosher because of a certain reason. Is it really kosher? And whatever symbol they see on it, the first thing they do, they go home, they start finding out the phone number of the kosher agency, and try to find out if it's kosher or not. That is not necessarily the proper road, because sometimes they call the office, the rabbi is pumped not in because he's in a plant somewhere, and then he returns the call a little later. When the rabbi is not in, it's not always a bad sign. It means he's out there looking for a product. Another question is, they see a product, which was always kosher, and this time they decided to look into the ingredients. Part of a product, and all of a sudden they see natural cheese flavor. Natural cheese flavor in a part of a product. First thing they do, they run home, they call up the kosher agency, they ask what is going on. A third question that many people have is, what is a plain cake? I think that there is one general answer for all these questions. There's a secret in the trade of kashrus, which is called the kosher certificate. The LOC, the letter of certification, however everybody calls it. When you pick up, I'm going to take an example of an OK product, I'm from the OK, a Snapple bottle. You want to know whether that OK is legitimate. The one who is giving you the service of kosher is not the OK. It is Snapple. Snapple heard from consumers that they want a kosher product. What does Snapple do? They go around, find out who gives kosher certification, and they'll pick, whatever reason they have, this one. So the kosher is something that the company gives you. The kosher agency gives a certificate to the company, and this is what they show to anyone whether the product is kosher. Therefore, if you pick up a bottle and you don't know whether that OK belongs there or not, or any other hefsher, you take the 800 number on the product and you call up the company and say, hello, I'm a kosher consumer. I saw this in this product. Would you be so kind and fax me or mail me the copy of the kosher certificate? The kosher certificate will have the letterhead of the kashrus agency. It'll have the exact name of the product. It'll tell you whether it's parev or dairy or pesach or whatever it may be. And it'll also have an expiration date. If that's a valid date, it is still current, that is your proof. After that, if you have any questions or anything looks fishy, then you call the kosher agency. But at least you have done your homework and you know this is sort of the passport of the product.
Don't go away. Taped with Rabbi Doug. We'll be right back.
Neurofibromatosis.
What?
Neurofibromatosis, or NF, is a genetic disorder that causes tumors to grow anywhere on or in the body. It can lead to blindness, deafness, loss of limbs, brain tumors, and severe disfigurement.
Neurofibromatosis.
Let me make it easy for you. Children's Tumor Foundation. The Children's Tumor Foundation, dedicated to ending neurofibromatosis through research. Let's all start saying it.
Children's Tumor Foundation.
Hi, I'm Alan Weingrad, formerly with the Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys, and you're watching Tape with Rabbi Doug.
At any rate, it's my pleasure to introduce Rabbi Yechezkel Auerbach, the Director and Administrator at the Kof-K. Thank you. The custom, time-honored custom, is that when one starts speaking, is Pesachim b'chvod achsanya, you start by saying something, some form of gratitude to the person who has invited you, but in reality, it's very difficult to decide to whom to address that. Obviously, Rabbi Jenkins was the one that contacted me. The Vadra Abonim of Chicago are the people that are doing this, and as Rabbi Garel so eloquently pointed out, it's in fact the Balabatim, it's the rank and file kosher consumers of the Chicago community that in fact created the milieu upon which this is all being acted out. So in fact, it is a wonderful dilemma to have when you have so many different possibilities, each of whom can rightfully be addressed as the machnis eirach of this tremendous Kiddush Hashem. To have a community which has a relationship with its Rabbanim, to have Rabbanim who has a relationship with its community, to have appointed superlative and superb personnel such as Rabbi Jacobs to spearhead these type of occurrences is really a wonderful opportunity, and quite possibly you're so close to the action that you don't even realize how unusual it is, because there are far larger Jewish communities than Chicago out there in America that would never be able to pull this off. There are far more sophisticated and more developed communities that would never be able to have Rabbanim together saying, what can we do to strengthen across the entire tzibur that we have? How can we express our responsibilities in a way which will bear fruits, and to have balabatim, and to have a community that will respond? And it is really a wonderful opportunity to come here and to be part of this. I just wanted to briefly, because I'm sure that there are many different aspects of kashrus, and the truth is that one of the downsides of working in the kashrus profession is that you get so caught up. I'm not sure if it happens to you guys, but you get so caught up in the day-to-day. There's so many different things happening, so many wonderfully intriguing things. You never know what your day is going to bring. People ask me, what do you do? And I said, I really have no idea. I can tell you what I did yesterday, but I sure have no idea what I'm going to do today. And I certainly have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. Because each day brings with it its new surprises and new situations. And you get so caught up in it that you don't realize that maybe everybody, you don't get invited back to coffee parties because you only want to talk about kashrus. This happens to be times which are very exciting in the field of kashrus. Rabbi Garel quite correctly pointed out that as the kosher consumer becomes more cognizant of their own powers, and truthfully, the food business is an extremely money-driven business, because you're dealing with tiny margins of profit, because there's a lot of competition and it's a totally cash business, but everybody eats every day. So the volume is incredible, and manufacturers are looking for little tiny market shares because they have a lot of fixed costs. Their plants cost them the same whether it's kosher or not. Most of the ingredients are going to be the same. The plant personnel are the same. If they can, by going kosher, jack up their profit by another 0.5%, that's gravy. And you people have the schlissel in your hands. You hold the key by simply picking up the phone and saying, why is this product? I see that part of your product line. I see your competitor's product is kosher. Is there a reason why yours is not? Correctly so. No reputable kashrus agency would ever approach a company, because in truth,
there are certain regulations. There's a certain form that the company must fit itself into. And if you approach the company says, well, what do you want from me? You came to me. If they come to the agency, they are much more amenable to trying to work with the agency to create a kashrus system which will reflect an excellent level of kashrus. Concomitant with this upsurging in the demand for kashrus, there is a tremendous development and a newness in food technology. The types of products that can presently be made kosher, the types of products that are presently being made are astonishing. I'm sure you've heard that a few weeks ago there was a tremendous fanfare that they have said that the human genome project has been completed. They have finished mapping the DNA. And the truth is that this is just something that they're bringing to the public's attention now, but it has been going on for a number of years. Scientists, food scientists mostly, because there is still this brave new world that people are afraid to start patching with human DNA. But for years, scientists have been perfecting the ability to recombinant DNA, it's called, where they take the blueprint of what a balchai is, of what a tzemech is, what raw foods are, and they combine it. And one of the most startling examples that I've seen was one of the first actually that they developed. A scientist realized that tomatoes, if you buy a tomato and it has been exposed to frost, it goes bad very, very quickly. They realized that there is a fish called the Arctic cod, which is very impervious to cold. It lives in the Arctic Ocean. So the guy said, well, maybe if you can figure out why fish are not bothered by cold water, and you can do something to the tomato, maybe you'll be able to have it. And it took a couple of years, but they did. They found the gene that allows the fish to shrudge off the coldness of the Arctic Ocean, and they grafted that little bit of the gene into the DNA of tomatoes, and they have frost-proof tomatoes. Interestingly enough, because this is a very delicate and cutting edge of development, people are very concerned about cross-species grafting, and it is copulously scrutinized by the government, and if anything, the government is holding back the edges of the technology.
I'm Professor Bernard Grossfeld, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
I'm here at Taped with Rabbi Doug, and I'm here with Rabbi Yechezkel Auerbach. He is the executive from the Kof-K, the Hebrew Chaf with the K in it that you might see on a lot of products, such as, just for an example, Good Humor ice creams, to be one of Tofuti, some of the most famous. Rabbi, how long have you been in the Kashruth business?
12 years now.
12 years. And can you tell me, when you started in the Kashruth business, do you think there's been, in the last 12 years, a large turnaround, a big change in the Kashruth business from the way it was 12 years ago?
There definitely has been. There has been a much greater awareness on the part of the consumer that it's their responsibility to open lines of communication with the company and with the kosher certifying agency, and to recognize that it is ultimately the consumer who bears the final responsibility to make sure that what they're eating is going to be kosher. They need to rely on the expertise of the kashrus professionals. However, in order to do this, they must, first of all, bring consumer pressure or awareness to the companies, to educate the companies that they would like products to be kosher, and furthermore, to be in touch with the kosher agencies in order to explain to them that they would like a level of excellence, not just say, okay, well, we'll be able to do this somehow.
You, as working with an agency that works not only in the United States, but certifies places all over the world, do you feel that there is going to be a greater awareness of kashrus, where more companies that you would have never expected years ago to become kosher will be becoming kosher in the near future?
Certainly so. Certainly so. As a matter of fact, there is a trend in the food industry now for mergers of colossal proportion.
We know just recently,
and just in everything, and as they get more and more, most major food companies now have specific personnel who are delegated to deal with kosher issues, and as they do so, as they acquire new companies, they are bringing this awareness to companies that previously were not aware that there was a kosher market that they can tap into.
I want to wish you much success with the Kof-K and in your endeavors, and may all the agencies that were represented here today have much success in more kosher food around the world.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
ultimately, it's the consumer that will benefit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, of course, is Rabbi Tzvi Rosen.
Anyway, when I came to Morocco the first time, it was to bring olives and olive oil to the United States. And the market has grown dramatically. And in fact, when I came there, I learned the hard way that English is not spoken in every corner of the world. And it was quite difficult because the driver took me from Casablanca to Meknes, the city of the Har HaKadosh, and he left me there. And I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know where the oil factory was. I was in a hotel. Nobody knew how to speak to me. I only had an address of a shul. You can imagine this town of Meknes. It was in Ramadan. There were not too many. You can rest assured. They knew me because when they told me I should go to the Medina, which is like the shuk, and somebody threw a firecracker at me, I got the picture that they knew that I was a Yid. However, I was going and searching. I had an address of the shul, and I looked, and finally, there's no signage there, none whatsoever. And I finally look and walk up the stairs. It looks like an apartment house in Holon, in Israel, and I see somebody with the yarmulke, kippah. I said, "Tomer daber ivrit?" I said, "Do you speak Hebrew?" He says, "Cain." Oh, I felt terrific. I really felt the whole concept of Kol Yisrael Revi Eliezer that manifests itself. And there's a whole community, small as it is in Meknes, and there's a Rav. The Chabadniks are keeping it going, and Morocco is a place where now, although the Yiddishkeit is very, very, very mitzumtzum, very small, there is a significant product that is brought not only from one company now, but from about 5, that comes to bring the olives and the olive oil into the United States. We've had also opportunities to send mashgichim to even what I would consider even a farther flung areas of the world, in Tunisia, also with olive oil, and we got a call for couscous. Apparently one of the large couscous manufacturers wants to import into the United States. At that time, so we sent a mashgiach, and where was he going to stay? There is still a Rav, or a Chaim Mader, who's the Rav of Tunis, and opened up his house and his heart, and it was incredible. Because here we are so blessed as we go down the supermarket and see half of the supermarket, 3/4 of the supermarket with Hechsher. There is nothing there. When Moshe Michael Klein came back, he said he was able to have meat over Shabbos because Chaim Mader's daughter got married, and he shechted a calf in honor of the chassid. And that was the meat that they had.
Hi, I'm Alderman Bernie Snow. You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We have a lot of avat chinam in the community, in the cRc Kashruth, and in the Kashruth of the national agencies, along with some of the other agencies, because of Rabbi Jenkins' ability to look beyond petty politics and look at the greater picture. And I want to commend him for that one little aspect of the many fine qualities that he brings to the cRc Kashruth. And without further ado, and without embarrassing him anymore, I'd like to introduce Rabbi Jenkins.
So basically, what we're going to be trying to do, especially for our Scotch people here in Chicago, is right now we have a list of only things that are not in sherry casks. Hopefully within the next month or two we're going to be probably, you'll find the amount of scotches in there about 10 times the amount that's on there right now. But that's what we found out from the trip from Scotland, which I know here in Chicago people were really waiting to hear what was going to be the result from that. Now, I really have nothing more to talk about Slurpees, so I'll really sit down and be quiet. But like this, I just want people to be aware that in general, the whiskey industry here in the United States could become more problematic as time goes on due to the fact that we have something in there called blenders. Blenders, the United States government allows them to put a certain amount of blenders, whether it's a citric acid solution, in this stuff, or in like this. What happens like this? When you're paying taxes on whiskey, it's a lot of money in alcohol. So if you could cut that down a few percentage points, you just saved, depending on the size of the distillery, $1 million. That year you could have saved. Because you saved it on taxes. So if you're able to, if the government gives you a little leeway, you can dilute it, put other things in there, not have it stay in the barrels long, put a flavor in there, and you'll come out with the same tasting whiskey. So right now we're not coming up to any conclusions. It's something that we are looking into. Hopefully, B'ez Hashem, I'm going to hopefully take Rabbi Goldswine with the Rishus of Rabbi Elephant down to Tennessee and Kentucky to go through some of these places to see what's going on. And hopefully I'll come back with some good news, or maybe I'll have to come back with some bad news. But in general, as all the Rabbanim here have discussed, of course, why did we end up going to Scotland? Because we have these minyanim here in town that like to drink as much scotch as possible, not to get drunk, of course, but that forced us to have to go, and even though I was in Europe and Eretz Israel, to spend some time in Scotland to go through this. So again, the power of the consumer is very strong. We react to the power of the consumer. And I just want to thank everybody here for coming in, because to us at the cRc, it's a big sfuss to have all these people sitting here with their expertise and being able to give over to the community. And we're very happy to say here at the cRc we have a very good relationship with all of the agencies, which we're proud of, and because many times they've helped us out in many different aspects. And I just hope that we can all continue to come to these type of wonderful things that we can sit and talk and compare what's going on. And the one who wins is the kosher consumers who wins in the end result. Thank you very much.
Achievements of the modern age. We've come so far.
I have a dream. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And we have so far to go.
I'm Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We're here on Taped with Rabbi Doug, and we're with Rabbi Dovid Jenkins. He is the Kashruth administrator for the Chicago Rabbinical Council in Chicago. Rabbi Jenkins, welcome to the show. You've organized now these 2 seminars and plus this whole workshop that's been going on all week in the Chicago area for people who are interested in learning more about the insides and outsides of Kashruth. What would you say is the most interesting thing that people who have attended this seminar for this week have learned about that they may have never experienced before this or heard about?
I would say is the intricacy of kosher certification in general. Because in order to do kosher certification, you have to understand the processing of all the different manufactured items that are made. So it's not just being a policeman, but it's understanding how it's being made and all the different aspects of products. For example, flavors, how many different flavors and how many levels of flavors will go into one product, which people found to be very interesting.
With all the flavors and enzymes and chemicals that go into products these days, is there a supervision all the way back at the enzyme producers, or is it just a matter of going in and finding out what are the ingredients in these enzymes before they're used in kosher production?
It would depend on the enzymes. Some enzymes, yes. Some enzymes inherently would be kosher to begin with.
Another question that I wanted to ask you is this. You are dealing with a number of different kashrus agencies here. And there may be different policies, minor differences in your policies between what you accept, what you do, what you don't do, and so on. Would you, in that case, recommend certain agencies, black and white, for example? The cRc uses everything which is produced by the OU, which I know the cRc does. But would you say that there is a general policy that if certain agencies, the number of them, especially the ones that were here today, that unilaterally, if someone asked a question, this has this symbol on it, would they be unilaterally accepted? Or would there be certain things because of policy issues that would not be accepted?
We would say they'd be universally accepted. I, in the back of my mind, can think of one or two instances where we had a problem which we could not accept something like that.
But generally, universal acceptance.
Generally, universal, completely acceptance of everything.
Well, thank you so much for putting this whole seminar together, this whole week of learning of kashrus, and I wish you much success and more kosher food.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.